Oh, yeah, yeah. Yes. That's cool.
All right, we'll try this. Trying a new magnifier instead, so we can see things that way. Let's see. All right. Yeah.
You know what you can do? No, you can bring the chair behind because I don't know that. But I want to sit next to the picture. So you can bring your chair, it's fine. Or maybe there is a chair, another chair. So yeah, didn't have anything else for today. Just bring your chair. Sorry? I want to say this. I can sit here. Okay. Just bring your chair. Thanks.
So yeah, this is basically chapter 1.
No, it's fine. I just need the level of questions. I also couldn't handle the it didn't work, so because I'm sitting there next to the so yeah.
And on that, it's still has I think you remember that. works fine. Something going on in this document. I'm gonna have to come back and look at it. Like, what I would suggest is try recreating the text frame options and resave the. Is there maybe something in the text frame options that's triggering multiple instances of the text? How's everybody else doing here? I see the room from this side too often, so I'll come and visit more on page 1, page 2. Control. Panic, stress, anxiety. How about over here? Stress levels, scale of 1 to 10. 7 here. 8. Higher than 8 is no good. 8 is good. I swear. For sure. We'll be reviewing all of this because I'm sure there are a lot of questions. Pretty much, yeah.
So
It's a fairly big assignment.
the 30% for assignments, 2 assignments, and this is this guy, and the final is a new class.
Pretty much, yeah. We're going to start it tonight. We'll have an opportunity to this guy. And it's probably going to be 1 or 2 things. I'll let you guys decide.
No, but it's not gonna be like a 3-hour long, it's not gonna be going there, you see some. Oh, no.
I don't want you worrying too much about I don't want you worrying about too much about grades and marks and all that stuff.
I'm just trying to mentally prepare.
You're better than grades.
There you go.
Now that I'm on the chapter,
Sure.
it's not something that I
For that, we can override master page elements by pressing Control Shift. And now you can click. Now it becomes frees itself from. And now you can use it as a right frame.
what I did was I put another.
Okay. The point is that you do it in your master page. Excuse me. So you don't have to constantly recreate those.
And then it automatically becomes.
Yeah, just a regular frame that you can use.
There, you know, no, it's, and then you'll do this one, the next one, and I think this is one, so that.
So, you see?
Oh, nice.
Oh, I don't know because it doesn't show currently.
First, you need to click the T, the text tool.
The
Text tool on the left over here.
okay.
Okay, and now make a little square where you want your page number to appear.
So I did.
For this, you should use the text tool. Because it's not just a regular, it's not a square, it's not an object, it's a specific.
On your chapter,
So now you can.
a section.
Perfect.
Does yours actually appear in C-section? Yeah. Mine doesn't. It happened to me last time too, when we were doing page numbers.
Yeah. So you go to view.
Oh, yes.
Not with the one. Are you done with the one? No, with nothing.
Something is in extras.
You don't highlight anything next like that.
It would show. Click to select it.
Nothing appears. It happened to me when I was creating pages. You're in your master, right?
Yeah.
Well, how are you in your master? You're in your page 1.
No, you have to double click inside. You have to put the cursor flash.
Try it again.
Double click
It's
inside.
like a text box.
Again. It's because your font size is too big. So you made your box, but your font size is 55, so it's so big that the cursor doesn't even show.
So now it will show on the title.
Yes. That wasn't the problem, but now that you have your cursor blinking in there,
If it wasn't. So this was the file.
well, you created your text box, but you didn't double click it. You have to double click to insert the cursor.
So now each page has to be the same.
This is why we're doing it in the master, so that it repeats on every page.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And you also want to make your text something you can see. Wow.
Yes.
So now whenever you create a new page, on the right-hand side, it's going to have the page number automatic. And it says B, but it's obviously just a placeholder. Okay, doing a little triage over here, just like in the emergency room. Everybody's doing okay? Good, good. Welcome back. I guess summer's over. But we have so many IMAX on here tonight, we'll stay warm guaranteed. Welcome back. Last week we took a look at what it takes to put together some long format content like a book, a paperback novel, large format, phone book, anything with a lot of content has a different approach and a different set of rules. And we saw what some of those challenges are. Obviously, we don't want to spend too much time doing repetitive work. So what's our solution there? How do we take care of the work up front so that we can capitalize on that later? It's a panel that we do a lot of work in for this type of thing. Something to do with styles. Paragraph styles, thank you. So the paragraph styles panel should become your best friend, not only for this project, but for many others going forward, because it really is a time saver. For one-off things like a pamphlet or brochure, it's not the end of the world, because you have a very limited amount of content that you're ever going to be managing in one file. But if you're dealing with dozens and dozens of chapters and hundreds of pages of content, the last thing you want to do is have to scroll through every single page of your document and manually modify like individual things. That's craziness. So this is why we create styles as much as possible and as frequently as possible. So if sometime later on we want to tweak something, adjust it, we could just change the style and it's going to update our entire document to match those new attributes. Now, that's on the production side, and that's fine. A lot of people still take a lot of convincing to commit to working with styles. And I myself, I'll be honest with you, I get lazy sometimes and just, oh, screw it, I'll just highlight it, make it bold, there, I'm done. Okay, fine, whatever. As long as you're aware of that decision when you're making it and you don't get upset later on when it bites you in the butt. However, when working with large pieces of content, you want to automate a lot of other things as well, not just how things look, but how things are generated, specifically the table of contents. So you don't want to have a dedicated document where you're going manually every time and typing in the name of the chapter and what page number it's on, and then you make some modifications. You have to go back and change all the page numbers. It's kind of crazy to do that, even for a book with 5 chapters. There's a lot of margin for error. It's a lot of unnecessary work. So the reason we want to also use paragraph styles in these long format projects is because there's a mechanism in InDesign that will scan through your styles and allow you to generate a table of contents automatically based on the style you have assigned on certain elements. So you can automatically extract the page numbers. You can automatically extract section names, chapter names. You can have introduction text. You can have little summaries. You can do all sorts of cool things, and the whole thing is automatic. So if you're working on a big project, you know, you're working with multiple authors and they're each sending you their chapter. Even if it's a magazine, people are working on different sections, different stories. You can then assemble it using the InDesign book panel and have all your page numbering and all the table of contents generated automatically. So last week we took a quick look at what it takes to get started, creating that base template that will allow you to create these individual chapters. Why would you not want to just have your entire document in one big InDesign file? What are the disadvantages there? Yeah, it's too heavy. It gets a little cumbersome. You know, you end up with a couple of hundred pages. Next thing you know, you're scrolling endlessly, looking for things, going up and down. And that's if you're just working with a text document, it's annoying enough. Imagine you have a thick book with a lot of photography in it, a lot of images, high resolution images for print. At that point, you know, 50, 60 pages in, every page has like big images. Next thing you know, the computer memory is maxed out and you're just, it's chugging along, click, 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 stuttering. It slows down everything because it needs to keep everything stored in memory. So the advantage of breaking it down into either individual chapters or sections, manageable chunks basically, allows you to just focus on different things at any given time, because you know that once you bring them into the whole book panel mechanism, all the day-to-day stuff like the page numbering will get taken care of. So just going to do a little quick review. At some point this week, I sent out an email with a couple of links to some videos that I put together describing the process, how we got from point A to point B. I don't know how useful they were. It was just, you know, a good reference. If a few weeks down the road you ever want to go back and check them out, you're welcome to. Let's watch this. So last week we worked on creating a master document, which served as our basic chapter template. Okay, and specifically created an INDT file, T for template, which allowed us to just double-click it, and it would open a blank file already formatted with everything we needed. So we would have, you know, our chapter separator page. We would have a master for the left side, the right side. We had our page numbers. We marked. Sometimes we thought maybe it would be a good idea to mark the section, so that's also automated. And we basically imported our paragraph styles from another document to save a bit of time and to give us quite a wide variety of styles to choose from and to assign to the elements in our document. Let's crank that open. Oh, hello. What the hell? Sorry, I just loaded a whole bunch of links and documents in this week's, and they're not showing. Oh, hey. See you later. Oh, that's not good. I don't want to have to recreate those links. Pain in the ass. Okay, we'll do that after we do the quick review here, but I already had a bunch of links for week 4. I wonder if I put them in the wrong. Quick check here. Oh yeah, that'll do it. I'm sorry, guys. I posted all tonight's links in another course. So the web design students are really going to be confused if they log in tonight. So I'll transfer those a bit later on. I'll just maybe get tonight's notes set up first. Looks like it's going to be that kind of night, huh? Notes. Okay, so if you refresh your page, you should see it linked there now. Yay. Apologies for that. But first, we're going to look at last week's handout and just go through it very quickly and review some of the basic concepts that are not only for books, but are good to know all around for documents. Okay, so we talked about the benefits and the page numbers and section markers. That link will take you to another tutorial that we had that you can review. So are you guys still okay understanding how the master pages work in your document? Is there any confusion regarding what purpose they serve, how to use them? Make sense? Good. So what we ended up doing last week was basically we created a master page for the separator, the chapter separator, and we created another master page for our spread, for the actual content of our book. So these are not named very well. Sometimes I should take my own advice. You know, you can be a bit more descriptive with your naming convention here. So this can actually say chapter separator, this can be content. It really doesn't matter, but it makes life easier once you start getting a few more masters. So once we create our new document with our pages over here, we would assign proper stuff to pages. Now with the template, because it is a template, not a physical document we're going to save, we just want to create separator and just one page of content. Because the point is that the content itself will help us generate the remaining pages. Again, in our template, we would assign the chapters and stuff. And this we can change at any time. Now there's also a section marker here. The section marker acts much like the page number in that you can automate certain things. So if you have at the beginning of your chapter, you want to say actually, chapter whatever, you can actually put it here. And you can even have a section prefix. We didn't play around with that last week, but you can include some text over here and then put the number. And it doesn't even have to be a number. It could be text. It could be a phrase, a word, whatever. And we don't need to worry about chapter numbering at this point. For this document, it wasn't really necessary, but I felt it would be good to mention the find change option in InDesign because it can really save your butt. And you would use this, for example, in this case, everywhere you have placeholders where it says, chapter name and author name or book name, whatever. You can do a quick search and replace and assign it with real values and not worry about missing one of them. The importing of text, and I know Vasily's been having some issues there, and I've never seen that kind of glitch before. Were you able to, Vasily, were you able to like sort out what was going on there? Did you create a new frame, or is it still doing the same thing? That is weird. Like I would want that to happen sometimes, and I still wouldn't know how to go about doing it. But for the most part, when you create your template and you assign your text frames, make sure they're threaded so that from page 1 to page 2, those two text frames are connected. And basically, it allows the template to understand how you want your text to flow, right? And importing the text is as simple as going to File, Place. And 99.9% of the time, it's pretty straightforward. You just click on the file you want. And when you return to InDesign, your cursor should be loaded with what looks like a little paragraph of text. And if you hold down the Shift key and you click in the text frame, it should automatically create all the pages for you and flow them properly, etc., which we saw last week several times. And once your text is in there, you can go in and apply paragraph styles as needed. Depending on the type of content you have, it can be very simple or it can be very complex. Now, simple would be something like a novel like this, where you import your text. There's some poems in the middle of the text, which can be styled differently. You can insert some section headings, chapter names. But beyond that, it's pretty straightforward. When you're dealing with academic books or business books or technical books, the amount of styling and different things you need to stay on top of increases drastically. I brought in this book last week to share just some visuals, but they have different text styles for all these different situations, right? So the heading in this particular box needs to have its own particular style. There's the chapter name, the author name, and if I go, look at things like these lists, numbered lists, the first sentence is always bold and italic, right? So it gets a little more complex. And if I look at other pages, look at this, right? So now you have tables with different types of formatting and styles. So it can end up being a lot of work, a lot of work. It's not really design in the traditional sense that you may be accustomed to, but it's still a fair amount of work to keep track of all this. However, 9 times out of 10, it's the stuff that repeats, right? So if you manage to get one chapter formatted properly and you create styles from that one chapter, chances are the subsequent chapters are as simple as selecting your text, clicking the style that you want, and assigning it. Right? The little pull quote over here, right? That's a different paragraph style. Now, the reason why these are useful, you'll see tonight when we create our table of contents, every time we assign a style to a piece of content, it allows us to target it because it's associated with a style name. And when it comes to our table of contents, it's really just a thing that scans your entire document and performs an operation that we've defined. And you'll see when we go into our table of contents dialog tonight, basically what we're doing is like, look for these styles, take those styles, generate a table of contents with them, and then apply new styles to those that we've chosen so that on the table of contents page, it looks a specific way, right? It sounds kind of weird and circular, but you'll see it's a pretty predictable process if you've planned your document properly, and I'm really bad with that, so this is probably good for me as well. So break it down by chapter. Oh, we took a look at the book panel last week also. I don't know how far we got beyond the chapter creation part. Did you guys manage to create like 3 or 4 chapters at least? No? Well, we'll have a chance to do that hands-on again tonight. Any chapters at all? Any that you're proud of? Okay. Well, if you could do one, you've pretty much done them all. But we'll make sure we can do at least one and walk through that step by step.
Practice the numbering, the automatic number.
Sure. Yes.
Just to see how it goes. It's in import, right? You said it's in import.
The page number?
Load something. It's on my tongue. But
Loading the text?
Loading in the paragraph style.
Yeah.
You said something, maybe I'm confused, but
Okay.
just show please the automatic numbering of the pages.
For sure.
That would be good.
For sure. So once we get several chapters done, we'll create a new book. And once we're in the book panel, here we'll be able to manage all our chapters, the page numbering, and we'll also use this to create a table of contents. The table of contents is physically an InDesign file itself, and it can use an existing master page setup that we have, or it can be a completely custom thing. We'll obviously keep it in the same format, make sure it matches, but it'll be a separate InDesign document, and the text that's generated on it will be dynamically inserted. Multiple files in the book. Don't forget to click the little flyout menu to have access to a whole bunch of other things here. Some important ones. This is where you would actually export your book from. Did somebody have a hand up? I was looking the other way. So, once you put all your chapters together and you've done all the setup for your book, this is where you would export it as a PDF, right? From the section over here. Let's zoom in a bit. So, Preflight the Book. Do you remember what pre-flighting is? It's from the aviation industry. The last thing you need is a plane that doesn't feel technically sound. You want to have confidence in an airplane before you get into it to go somewhere. So the pre-flight checkup is the same thing in InDesign. It's let's test everything to make sure we got everything we need, and we're not going to go down in flames at the printers with a fat credit card bill at the end of it. So the pre-flight check will walk through the process and identify any potential problems. What are some of the problems you might come across when pre-flighting? Something would do with text. Now let me give you another hint. Text, and in your text frame in the bottom right corner, there's a little red plus sign. What does that mean? It's called overset text. So overset text is usually the biggest problem with this stuff because it's hard to spot, right? You're looking through your book, it all looks great. It's hard to see a text frame that has a few extra sentences that don't fit and didn't get transferred to the next column. So what other things can we identify with our pre-flight checkup? Something to do with images. You've inserted a whole bunch of images in your document, and then you copied your InDesign file through your USB key to come to class, and then you want to send me that file for homework, and all I get is an InDesign file with no images. Sound familiar? I know it does to me. So basically, a pre-flight check would tell you, hey, this InDesign file is looking for images which are no longer in the place where you told her it was. So please fix it. So you either have to relink those images or put the InDesign file back in the right place to make sure that those links are valid. Those are two very obvious pre-flight problems. Other things that could go wrong. You might have different color problems. For example, spot colors. Do we like spot colors? Or do we not like spot colors? You're free to like spot colors, and for those of you, I think we covered that in InDesign 1. Spot color is a specific type of ink used at the printer that is a lot more expensive and custom made. So if you identify, spot colors all over your document, it'll tell you, hey, by the way, the color space you're in might not match. So other things you want to do. Package, right? After you do your pre-flight and everything's hunky-dory, you go to your package, and that's where it gathers all the files and all the necessary links and puts it all in one big folder that you can hand off to somebody feeling good that when they open it, they'll get exactly what you intended. So images, putting a book together, so it's going to gather all the InDesign files, all the fonts, and basically it's like the regular InDesign package command, but on a larger scale. Or if you want to keep things simple, right there, export selected documents to PDF. Okay, now I think when you don't have any documents selected in the panel, this will say, because right now it has one document selected, so it says selected document. But if I click an empty area over here, sorry. If I click an empty area in this panel to deselect the files, then this is going to say export book to PDF. So all the documents. And unfortunately, that's really the only way to preview your entire book. So if you have like a 300-page book, previewing the entire thing start to finish, it's going to be a pain in the ass because you have to export a PDF every time. Right? So that's why it's easier to work in chapters. You make sure each chapter is okay, then you should feel better about how it turns out. You can export it as an electronic book, which is kind of fun. Throw it on your Kobo or your Amazon Kindle or whatever. So this is a very important panel which looks deceptively weak but has a lot of cool features in it. Oops. We'll get more acquainted with it tonight after we have a couple of chapters to throw together. So the book panel also allows you to assign the page numbering options. Okay, so if you want to make sure that every page separator begins on the right-hand side, then at the end of every chapter, you would say continue on next, I guess, even page. We start on the left, that's page 1. On the right is page 2. So chapter separator will always end up on the even page. And, oops, I keep forgetting it's not a real panel, just an image. If you click there, this will become active. And what it'll do is it will insert a blank page as needed to force it always on the right-hand side. So if one of your chapters ends and the next available slot would be on the left, it would actually insert a blank page to make sure it ends up on the right. So you got some really cool options here with the page numbering. And this video pretty much covers that whole process, start to finish. It's a little old, but it really covers the basics here. So last week, where did we leave off? We got as far as creating a template, I believe. And we were able to import several chapters. Should we rewind a little bit and revisit this whole process? Does anybody need some rehashing here? A little 10, 15 minutes, yes? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to post some files that people can download so we can continue from here tonight without, you kind of just sitting around. I did post some links online. I don't know if you had an opportunity this week to go visit them. It's okay. It basically covered everything we did last course, the last class, up to a certain point. So if ever you're kind of stuck tonight, you can go back and they're like little, about 4 10-minute clips you can watch to kind of get up to speed. That'll give you a quick overview right now, and then I'll give you the files I'll download. So first things first, remember we want to start a new template. So go to File, New Document. And with the our book is going to be an 8.5 by 11 sheet, folded in half. So the dimensions end up being 5.5 by 8.5, and we are working in landscape mode. Margins, we'll set those up later. Okay.
8.5 by what?
5.5 by 8.5. So this is going to be our single page. We're going to need a chapter separator, and then we're going to need a 2-page spread for our content. So I'm going to go up here to the Pages section, and I'm going to create a new master. Give it a name. We're going to call this Chapter Separator. It only needs to have 1 page. And the size, you can choose letter half from the drop-down for quick fix right there. Okay. Sorry? Yes. So click the little flyout menu, create a new master. We're going to give it a name that makes sense. And this is only 1 page. It's only a page separator, so only 1. And from the page size, you can use letter half, and it pretty much is the size we need for this. Orientation is portrait, or actually, you know what? Leave it as is. And now when you click OK, you should get a nice little standalone page. And in your Pages panel at the top, you should now see your page separator here. There's already an A master set up over here, which we can take advantage of and just modify. So if we right-click on it and click on Master Options, should get, there it is. The prefix is pretty arbitrary. It's just so you can identify and remember which master it is, A, B, C, whatever. But the name is even more helpful. Here we're going to put book content. And here we will assign 2 pages, the left and the right. So let's click OK. And here we are. We have our chapter separator and our book content. And if you want, you can even reorder them by dragging and dropping. At some point, there you go. So at any point, you can right-click and change the options. You can customize stuff. This double click so you can have so I think what happened is you can make sure so yeah, when you only have one selected, you double click in the middle. I just renamed it. Name it book content so it's easier. We'll fix the margin next because there's a special formula for this. Just to make sure. Okay, so we got our master pages set up, but there's nothing on them yet. The next thing we'll probably want to take a look at is our margins. Right, so for a chapter separator, it's kind of an open page where you're free to create any type of layout or design. You can throw an image in there. You can just have a blank page with nothing but just chapter 2, chapter 3 in the middle. It's your opportunity to be creative and have some fun. So margins here are, you know, a suggestion. But you can have stuff, you know, bleeding right off the page or centered or whatever. But what's more important is the book content masters. Because this is where we're going to have our page numbers. We're going to have all sorts of additional fun stuff. So I'm going to go here and load, double click this line to load the 2 master spread here. So in my layout, I should see my spread. Oh. And make sure you have your actual master pages selected and not like a page in your book. Right? So you'll see it selected here. Now what we want to do is play around with the margins and optimize them for book reading. So with this setup over here, we're going to click on margins and columns. First, I'm going to change my damn units because all right. So what I want to do is tackle one page at a time here. Okay, so in your master, click on the left side first. Double click the left panel. And now here we're going to fix up the margins. I go to Layout, Margins and Columns. here we go. And the values we want to put in here for the top and the bottom, and inside and outside refers to the spine. Okay, so inside would be what? Close to the middle, yeah, the spine, and outside would be the edge of the paper. So if I recall, we had 0.75 inches for the top and the bottom. No, the bottom was 0.9379. What was it?
Inside was 1 inch and outside was 0.75.
Right. The inside was 1 inch. And the bottom, I think, was a bit bigger. Oh, we have to, of course, unclick the link icon here because these are different values.
It was 5.5375.
9375.
975
0.9375
for the
for the bottom. Yeah, 0.9375. Top was 0.75. Oops. Inside was 1 inch, and outside was also 0.75. Yeah. Now, as you're changing these, if you have the preview checkbox on, you'll see how this looks in your book in real time.
Should we top and bottom?
Top is 0.75, and the bottom is 0.9375. Almost an inch, but not quite. So take note of those values because we're going to now double click on the right page and make sure they match. So same routine, margins and columns. So 0.75, 9375.
Are these standard meters or
for this kind of thing, there's actually a formula, and the links, part of the links that I'm sharing with you today include how to do the math to figure out like the optimal margins for books and stuff. There's a quick and easy way. And you know why we have margins, right? Why we don't just have text going from, you know, right to as close to the edge of the book as possible. Because when the printing press first kicked off and people were actually getting used to mass producing printed books, there were a lot of rats everywhere. It was the Middle Ages.
rats?
Mice, rats, rodents, vermin. So what would happen is they eat paper, they eat books, right? So they would have like libraries and stuff, and in the bookcases, the little mouse would go and start nibbling on the edge of a book. So if you had text right to the edge of it, eventually half your text is gone. So they added margins. They're like, look, you know, we're fighting a losing battle here against the rodents. At least they'll get the paper, but they won't get the content. So they just added like nice big margins to books. Because if you can imagine, you know, how valuable paper probably was back then. Why would you waste like half a page without using it for content? Using more paper to get your content out. So over the years, obviously, we took care of the mouse problem for the most part. They're still around. Parts of the world where, even here in Montreal, especially all construction, it's nuts. Sorry, little aside, never mind. So the margins have been adapted now more for the human experience. And again, when you're reading a book, you don't want to have your thumbs covering the text. That's why you have a bit of space. Plus, it looks a bit nicer. But you'll see the formulas have changed over the years on what we consider optimal margins. And I'll share those links with you probably after the break. So these are, you know, good mid-range margins that allow for a pleasant reading experience. Of course, the reason why we have a bit more of a margin here on the inside is because of the way the book splits open and curves inward. We don't want to lose that extra text in the dark areas. But now with digital readers, margins, who needs them? Okay, so we got our margins set up there. Question? Yeah, we're just kind of going with it.
But like the proportion inside of.
Yes. Yeah. And of course, it depends on the type of publication. If you're making like a magazine with that's got like the staples down the spine, then you know that it's probably going to open up a lot easier than if you have something that's this kind of binding over here, which causes the pages to curve a lot more. So it depends on what the intent is, the printing. So what are we doing next, guys? What's left? We're done, right? Save it, go home, time to party. I wish. Well, now we've got to actually do the design part, stuff we usually get paid to do. So if we look at the chapter separator page, like I said, this one is kind of a freebie. You can pretty much do whatever you like over here. But it should look like a book experience, right? You can't just go nuts. It should give the viewer an indicator of what is happening. So I can say chapter. This is just placeholder text. We're not really doing any styling here. We're just identifying all the features that we want in our chapter separator. Again, the fonts don't matter. Maybe you want to just play around with the size so you can visualize a bit more easily. Sure, let's go with that. Center it. Right. So on every chapter of our book, we're going to have the separator page, and it's always going to look consistent. For the most part, we'll be able to change a few things, but we want it to look somewhat consistent. So chapter will be there, but then we want to automate the section number, right? So again, with the text frame, make another text box over here. And if I want to automate stuff, especially with text, I go to type. Special character, markers, and we want to mark this as a section. So click section marker, bingo. And again, it just inserts placeholder text. It doesn't matter what this says. That's going to be replaced later when we change our page and numbering options. So again, you can style this very quickly. Don't spend too much time. Just eyeball it. For example, I'm just going to center it and say size 72. Oops, where did it go? Oops, where did that go? Seriously, where's my InDesign? Hello? Did I just lose my InDesign? Oh, I certainly did. And this, friends, is why you save your work often. And I was about to say, let's save our work. Darn it. Oh boy, okay. So let's ignore that. So are you guys saving your work?
Yeah, but you said to save it as a template, right?
Yeah, go to File, Save As, And from the drop-down list,
I don't really understand that. Because don't we also have our book content on this document? So why would
no.
we say that
Our book content is going to be a separate InDesign document.
So then why don't we create a master for book content?
So every time we want to create a new chapter, we launch everything that's ready from our template.
Okay. I guess I should see it next. Actually.
Yeah. The template is there. You know how when you open up a new document in InDesign, you have like a whole series of presets? Technically, if we save this into our templates folder, when we go to new, we should be able to see this as an option to create a new document with. So when we open it, it already has all the margins, the guides, the styles with it.
It's just a question. I have an older version of InDesign, so I don't have the option of saving it as template place.
Right.
I don't think there's an option for template.
Go with IDML. IDML is going to be compatible with your older version.
And that's.
And when you open it there, then you can resave it as a template on your system.
And it's okay because it's the same, smaller and
You have to make the text box.
Yeah.
Okay. Now try it. Type.
Oh yeah.
So first you make the text box. So if you want to use this at home on an older version, always save as IDML. It's backwards compatible. So here's the good news. Apparently it recovered my document, so I'm not complaining too much. I think this is an old one. There it is. Hey. Adobe. All right. Doing it right. So let me do a quick save as for this. I'm going to choose template. And I'll save. Yes. Well, for the section marker, I made the text box, but then I went into the type and chose a special character that's going to go in there. Should I do it again? Just so you can see what's going on. So I click my text box over here, text container tool, and I'll just make a new one here. And instead of typing something, I want to include something that's going to be automated. And for that, I go up to Type, Special Character, Marker, and in this case, it's going to be a section marker. And I'll show you what this does, just so you know what it is we're going for over here. Once I do that, it just puts in some random text. Well, random. It's called section. And again, you don't have to format it. You don't have to style it. We'll take care of all that stuff later. We're just inserting placeholders now. And the reason why is if I go to my page over here and I apply my my master. Zoom in. So I have my master over here. I'm going to apply the page to the first one over here. Just click and drag. It has a container over here, which is pretty much blank now. But if I go to my page numbering options, double click this little triangle, you get page numbering options. And if I put a section number over here, chapter 13, for example, I could literally type 13, And it's going to replace that text with the word 13. Because it's a special section marker. Now what's cool about this is I can have multiple of them all over my page. I can have another one at the bottom, the page number, whatever. And every time I start a new chapter, I just have to go to the page numbering dialog, put in my new chapter number, and my whole document gets updated. So let's say this is the quick and dirty version of our chapter separator. We're going to do one more thing here. We're going to add a placeholder. Yes. Yes.
So for the page marker, so let's say I had two here. So you said that you can have multiple section or page markers, right?
Sure.
So when I place the name 13 here, it appeared in both.
Multiple areas. Yeah.
How do I separate, like, it's a different page marker for that one? And
Well, this page you're working on now is based on your master. So if you go to your master and modify that one, separate it there, the rest of your pages will update so that it's different.
it's not a page marker for both.
Like it'll appear twice,
Okay.
but where they're placed on the
So
page.
it's here
Ah,
and here.
yeah. This makes sense.
Instead of thinking the numbers here and then the chapters in it.
Oh, that's going to be different.
Oh, okay.
So you can delete one of them. One more thing we're going to add to our page separator, just to keep it interesting, is the a placeholder for an image. Okay, so pull out your rectangle frame tool, and I mean, feel free to choose how you want your image to appear on your page. You can go from edge to edge, but that means we have to create a bleed area. I'm too lazy for that, so I'm just going to keep it centered. That's how I roll. I saw a hand go up.
Is it? I don't. I tried last week to put a picture placeholder in the master.
Yeah.
And when I was like, applying the master to the pages.
Yeah.
It was like I couldn't put it was an actual frame. It was just like an X in the background.
Right. So I'll show you what the purpose of this and how to use it. It's normal, but I'll show you the workaround. So I inserted a placeholder here in my master, which means that every time I use my master on an actual page, it creates this content, but usually master elements are locked, right? Because the master defines how they're placed and where they are. These are locked. But if you hold down Control-Shift and click on it, or is it Command-Shift on the Mac? There it is. If you hold down Command-Shift and click on object that's on a master, it will release it. And now you can use it as any typical object. I could go ahead and actually place an image in there. There it is. So what's next? Sure.
Before I was trying to create my template, and let's say if I wanted my text, you know how like in a book you'll like you switch page and on the chapter divider there's always already text starting.
Yeah.
How would you have your master, like if you would create your master with your separator and then your pages, when you go into your actual pages and you put them in normal sync, if you do the place with the text, would it automatically know that it starts when you click into the chapter select, it starts and then it continues into the other pages?
It would be a different type of setup in that situation.
Okay.
Because right now what we're doing is we have a separator page that's completely independent of the content. But if you wanted to have like just the top part indicating your chapter and the text begins there, then you would just have what we're doing here, you would do on your
book content master area. I'll show you what that would look like literally here. If I go to this page, for example, you would do the same thing over here. You would insert, here, let's just grab this. Right, so let's say you want your chapter indicators to be over here, and then all you really would do would be just place your text frame there where you actually want it to start.
Okay. Less complicated.
Yeah.
But then wouldn't every time you had a left page, it would write your chapter in big bold letters like that?
Yeah. I'm not sure. Let's see what happens. Because it might be possible that you might need to have like a separate starter page.
Yeah.
For that.
I'm just wondering then how would you have to like link, like how you would link your pages?
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Every time it puts it on a left page, it's going to have like chapter at the top. So yeah, you would have to basically still have a page separator, but instead of a text, a graphics frame, you would use a text frame.
But how would it know that it has to start on that text frame?
You would assign it to your first page in your layout.
Can you assign it from a master, from two different masters? Can you assign them between each other?
Yeah. So basically, it would be exactly like this.
Yeah.
So you would just assign your text frame there and assign it to your first page there.
Yeah.
And then you would create one more new page underneath. Sorry, I should go here. Okay. There we go. And now you would continue your regular layout this way.
So how would your text get attached?
Well, you would thread the frame so that the frame is
not the
connected.
master. Just the
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I understand.
Save here. Now for our A master, I'm just going to go through it a bit more quickly. Keep moving forward and time for break. What we want to do here for our spread is just put in the basics. Page numbers. That's not it. Book content. This is garbage. There we go. So in my content over here, there's two things that I absolutely need. A text frame for my content to go into, and a page number, which I'll put down in the bottom left over here. So to do that, I would choose my type tool. I dragged out my text frame already for the middle part, but now for the page number, just want to drag out a little box over here. And what I'm looking for is this flashing cursor, right? If you don't see it, double click inside to make sure your cursor is inside the box ready to accept text. You don't need to type anything. Just keep it blank, because once we insert our automatic page number, it'll insert a character for us. So from here, go to the menu, type, it's the same format, go to markers, and put in your current page number. Okay, so it's going to automatically just insert a character in there. And when this box displays on our pages, it'll automatically update that number. And again, the styling we don't need to worry about right now. We just want to account for all the pieces of our page. So we got this page number here, and we also have our text frame here in the middle. Anything beyond this is like bonus, you know. You could use your creativity, whatever. Some people want to put in the author's name on one side.
So for the following pages, what do I have to press that it will automatically go to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc.?
Well, every time you create, the purpose of this is so that when you do create pages, you don't have to do anything.
That's it? It will go to
Automatically.
Oh,
So when we insert a page marker, it tracks what page number it's on and it changes the number automatically.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Does it matter which one I created first? Like I'm not like double or the chapter? Because like I got
The order doesn't matter. What will matter is if we tackle the right page now, we can literally just copy and paste that page number mechanism. So copy that. I'll go to my other page here and paste it here. And again, let's not worry about formatting right now. But I also want to add a text frame here on this page like this, right? So you want to have text frame here, text frame there. One thing you do want to do, though, is click this icon up here to make sure that this frame is the primary one. Text begins here. Obviously, if you're putting a book together for languages that read right to left, you'll probably want to start here, right? But for now, let's click here, and you'll see you get that little arrow that shows up. And that indicates that this is the primary frame, but we're not done yet. We also want to make sure that our text will flow from left to right. For that, we click this little box over here. Don't make it very obvious, but if you click it, your cursor will change, and it looks like a little piece of paragraph text. And what you have to do is just hover over any other text frame, in this case, the one next to it. And if you click, it will automatically create that connection. And if you're not sure, you can click on View, Extras, and show the text threads. And if you turn this on, it will show you how your text frames are connected. Takes the guesswork out of it. You go to View, Extras, and Show Text Threads. And of course, if they start getting really annoying, then you can go back to the same spot and just hide them. Okay, so now we know our text will flow from one frame to the other. And if I go back to my document now, okay, I want to go back to my pages now. I'm done with the masters. So this is my page chapter separator based on this master. And this page is going to be based on content. So I'm going to grab the left page from here and make sure it's assigned here. That's all I have to do. Yes?
What did you just say?
Oh, well now I want to create the template for my book. And I went to my chapter separator, right? And I made sure that it's assigned to the first page so that it uses that layout. And then if you don't have a second page, create one. And then you would take from your book content master and assign it there. So this page now is using that layout, that template with the page number, and look, it already has the page number automatically assigned. So I'd probably save here. Now, do I want to import some content? No, because we're working on the template. If we import content, every time we launch a new document with this template, it's going to have that content in there. So we just want to have it ready to go. If we want to start using this now, basically you would browse to where this file is saved. So I'll just save it on my desktop for kicks. Okay, and now if I want to launch new documents based on this template, I would go to my desktop.
Just this chapter.
Okay, so once you have your template, you have two options. You can just double click it and it's going to open a new InDesign file with everything ready for you to go. Or you can copy it into your templates folder in InDesign. And every time you go to File New, you'll see it as an option where you can just click on it and access it through there. Sadly, on our computers here, we can't copy this into that folder because we don't have permission. But if we double click it, we get the same effect. So double click the template file, and really all it does is it just launches a new untitled document with this setup.
And they're like connected, so if I no, they're not connected.
No. So if you change the template, your pages won't automatically get updated. I know it sucks. Sorry? They won't. I wish it did. That'd
So
be
in
fantastic.
terms of like design, then I should be working on the template, right?
Yes. All the heavy lifting, all the hard work should take place in the template. Because that's where that's going to define basically all the subsequent pages on your site. But it's not the end of the world. There's hope, because even if you decide halfway through, oh no, you know, my template could have used something different, there's still hope later on, because you can do some global styling changes through the book panel. And you can update like styles throughout the entire book using one file as a style boss kind of thing. Yeah. Now, layout-wise, it gets a bit more tricky. But even there, you have masters in InDesign now have layout adjustment. So if you decide to tweak a few things in the master, it cascades downward in your entire document without having to redo every single thing. There's some advantages there. So one last thing, we have a new document. We'll import some text now. And you can just watch. We'll do it again after the break as well. But basically, the way it works is you open your new document. You go to your first page here with content. You want to go to File, Place, and somewhere in my Downloads folder, I should have some chapters already broken out, right? Yeah, they're in the last week. If you download the files, you'll find them. So I'm going to choose chapter 1. And if I click open, yeah, missing font, who cares? You'll see my cursor is loaded with text. Okay, now what I want to do here is hold down the Shift key. And I know it's hard to see because the cursor isn't actually zooming in. But as I hold down the Shift key, you can see it changes a little bit right in the top left corner there, like right there. Try it on your desktop, it'll be more clear. But if you hold down the Shift key, it changes to a little curly arrow. And if you move your cursor in the right place, it turns white. And if you click there, and the reason why you want to hold down the Shift key is that it should automatically create all the pages you need. Now, of course, mine didn't work because that would have been too easy. Try this again. So File, Place, Open, Shift. There we go. So by holding down the Shift key, it reads the entire document and creates as many pages as I need to get all the content in there. You got nothing? I had a problem with chapter 1 also.
That when I do it, it's like I link my first page to like my B and C, which is like my pages. And then
This is your text frame there.
yeah, and then I shift. And then it just says this.
Down the
Which text are you supposed to take?
chapter. It should be chapters text this one. Yeah. Try that one.
So
So it started importing it.
Yeah.
But then nice. Created the pages you want.
These pages are already created because they're like pages, like chapter.
The pictures and the images and the
Let's try.
on this one, it's
It turns out that possibly yes. Yeah. So now it generates all.
wait, let me see.
Yeah, and it doesn't appear. Oh, it's A.
Oh, that's
B over.
great.
And that should be oh, but why is this? My text frame is over here, and then it's randomly start text.
Check your
Oh, we can check it.
left one.
Oh, yeah.
It like overrides.
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
it should be.
It's weird because whenever, let's say if I create a new page like with the B on it,
Yes.
my text frame isn't. I can't touch it. Even if I do have a T, like I do have text frames. I can't.
Well, it's tied to your
Yeah.
master
Okay,
page.
so
So you
it's
have to
normal.
press the
Yeah, but I
command
have
shift.
this one.
Okay, it's normal that I can't.
There's no
And all of them.
problem.
I can't even drag it.
Oh, I don't think dragging
I have
is.
that text. No, me
Wait,
too.
go here.
You did it, that's why you.
Let me try.
I'm going, yeah, I'm going to do it too. I was like.
Oh, at least like one page only?
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
see you didn't do it.
It's
It's very pretty.
Oh.
It's,
Oh, there it is. Okay. Worked.
And the idea is that we open up, every time we start a new chapter, we open up a new untitled thing,
Yes.
and then we work in
Save that chapter,
chapters.
save that chapter, etc.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
And we're not finished yet. We're going to import some styles. Okay.
There's not one using text. I got it.
I had to save on chapter 1.
I tried to right now, I wanna see my chapter separator.
that's how you work, but.
Yeah.
That's the China.
Who else would have it?
Oh, it's worse.
It's something.
Oh, in Polish.
Because they can really sure exactly.
Because technically you have like
It's like
80
random.
chapters, and you have to go to each chapter that modifies the last page.
Right, so the idea is that when you create your master page and then drag and drop master pages, you're dragging and dropping from A to B to B.
Well, not giant, but technically he says the way, because this is like, over 80 pages or like 80 chapters, at one point your document's gonna get really busy, so like since each chapter has one document, so it's like one issue, and then you get the books. When it says create books, you import all those chapters and then it understands like the book and you can create the contents from that and you can other things. You can only work in one individually, but then if you decide, I think one of them you can do, I think it's paragraph styles and character styles. You can say, okay, well, chapter 2, I worked on it, like that's like the styling I want my like paragraphs on that. You say that is like the one to follow for every other chapter and like modify every other chapter. I don't know if it works for like large.
I feel like this stresses me out, the fact that like I'm using a template every time that can only be modified the very first time, right? Because like now I've created 6 chapters and then I realize that I hate the way that my author's name is up there.
Yeah. That's a character.
I can't do anything about it. Unless I want to go into it again, so it's just like separate, right?
Yeah, then you have to go to each master. I don't know if you can import master.
So I just, that sucks, because I don't like that. Now it's like, what?
Well, I
Everything that all strengths on.
Yeah.
And
Chapter
these
two.
little icons, make it harder to but it just tells the InDesign that this is the first.
Yeah.
I guess you can go into each of your
Have to go
chapters,
back
master
to the
pages,
You can edit the
and then just change the rest of your
Page
But
separator.
it's fine if I have 5 chapters, it's ridiculous, it's like, why did I create master space?
True, and plus if you like, you also literally place it on the same place every time you need to master pages, you don't have to like just carry it.
Chapter.
Just like mine, just my times. Like, oh,
Chapter. And the trick is you
that's
have
like how I want it.
Just
Like more than what I wanted.
click. And it automatically creates the spread.
Yeah.
They're already.
It was right.
Oh, to show.
I'm scared.
This is all of
Yeah.
this is why I did so there's images. No, just
Well, I just copied this, but yeah.
I think
So-
there what did you what did you do?
They're like,
Auto close.
maybe like a brand.
Because they're.
Oh, you didn't do it.
Actually, they're not even.
It downloads everything.
Oh, all of them? Oh,
Like,
no.
Let's save it somewhere.
I don't put it on.
Save it somewhere you'll know where online.
But once it's sealed, it's right.
Well, as long as you can find it.
Well,
For example,
on your chapter separator, you don't have.
loading the text, you, for example, for me, I saved it in my USB.
These are to modify
The back.
badge.
But no, it's just something
It's
that's optional, you can
as
put, you
long
can
as
put lines, you can put designs, you can do whatever, as long as they're in the master.
I really hate this old design, it's so shitty. I hate old design, it's so shitty. Like, I mean, because compared to the university,
This is old too. Like, girl, you've never seen it. Like, I used to have CS6
So
on my
like,
last
here,
It was like,
here's the start story, and then over here, page 10 ends.
The one.
When you create a book, it's gonna insert a blank page over here. So you flip the page, there's a blank page on the other side. And then it's gonna start chapter 10 or 11 or 12. And the right-hand side. You have image there, summary, whatever. So you create basically chapter separator so the book doesn't conflict.
is it just
So
that's not, okay, so for
Yeah,
whatever
other designs that I want to do,
You're like, I just know. You know how like,
What do you do with chapter separator?
creativity, like big.
Like on your document now,
Bomb date.
the placeholders.
Boring actually.
It doesn't matter, yeah, as long as you build the basic.
Yeah, exactly. Like as long as you can like, they tell you like, They give you 10% religion mise en page professional. Yeah, I guess my graphic designer for like a 4-page template, like a cover page,
Yeah,
back page, and then like inside information. She charge it.
That's gonna be
To read it,
chapter 10.
that's
You have chapter 11, you can swap it out, but you always have these templates that makes everything.
It's crazy. It's so annoying too, because like, guess what I did today? No, watch that. Free.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like these are. No, but I just think like if I were to do that like freelancing, like you know, oh, for 6 hours for 3 days.
It's all in one document.
That's like
My whole page.
that's like more than money. Yeah, basically. Because I get paid weekly. I'm like, but yeah, it's just like a page for 3 days.
We'll do that after the break.
Yeah.
We'll do it after the break. After the break.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like Steve was saying, that like his freelancing firm had a company always hire him every year. For, like,
Is this when you're
financial
recording the
books.
text?
They don't-
I just wanna find out here on the west side gang over here.
It's like,
Hi,
so I don't know how much charge.
are you guys having
He
problems
said it would
placing your text
pay his freelance like for the year, and then everything goes with like $60.
2 out of 3?
It's crazy.
So you click and just, it doesn't have to.
There's no
So
problem.
it's a problem I can see.
It's
That's the thing, right? That's the payoff. Is like really but don't enjoy necessarily what you're
no, but then you
doing.
take on like fun projects and fun, you can pay your extra.
If you download the files from last week, the example files, you should have unzipping folders in there. So let's try this. So click. So it works.
Yeah.
Okay, before you input right now, click the out. Deselect your text. Deselect it. Click an empty area. Now go to File. Yes. Okay.
It's Allison.
Hold down Shift and move it until their cursor turns white. So it creates the pages, but the content is white. I had the same thing. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Yeah. But it doesn't show the content. If you actually, this is chapter 1. If you double click in the text frame, is there any text in content?
Yeah, you
Okay, that.
Also, like just the
Alice with blue. What's the look like?
100% sure. Right? But if I go to File Place, chapter 1. Right? It's not showing. So there's obviously a problem. Perfect work.
I wanted to delete it.
I think you could do it on like and then
It could be for a copy.
oh right.
Okay, I'll take a look
I
at it.
think why would there
Like, cause I just wanna, just new
But I mean, if the text is not being.
I think I would just delete the page. Like just delete the page and start over, like put a new page in, like your text and I'll create them.
Importing half of it, but there's like over text here.
I don't know how to do select all. Select all. Oh, it's Control A. Control A. Yeah, let's go.
Just this is a standard document. Once you import your text and you save as, it's a regular InDesign file.
Start with
Chapter
like
number.
a little bit.
oh, this.
Sorry, this.
In the interest of saving time, guys, I'm gonna post some files that we can all download and start continue working from. Because I don't want to spending our time together just, you know, copying, pasting text, and creating chapters. We'll go through the process so you know what's involved. But basically, this is the hardest part of the assignment is creating the layout. And we seem to have a technical problem with document number 1, chapter 1.
Did you get your thing back from Design 1?
Yeah. I don't know if that'll format.
This is yours.
I'm
not sure what are the benefits of just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
somewhere.
Oh, I have a download. I have a download.
Yeah.
It's fine. On the technical level.
It's some funky ass stuff.
It's a funky ass.
Well, it's not really paragraphs like the one and
Right.
like
Okay, so like for example, this, we're gonna also gonna make a change to the chapter title. Oh, you do one of these things?
Because now,
like yeah, find a replace.
if you have
No.
one copy,
No, apparently it doesn't
and
exist.
bring it to
So you have to go. So you
It's not
select
gonna
like this
find
and
chapters, number your file, the table of contents.
you change only on
Save for now. Fine.
and then you work
But
for every
predict
Oh,
what happens.
afterwards though, right? Because right now I put this.
yeah, and then for every title, so
Especially
let's
with
do
the
chapter
table
1,
contents.
your chapter 1's like very last, and you go
Style
find
set
the
up
web
process.
chapter title and then change to very last and then change all.
I guess I can change author's name. Who's the author?
Oh,
Carol Tar.
So you just, but you're just
So,
So, back up a bit here.
I save this. And this can go flip side. Flip side.
So the first one.
Mind you, it's like that for your page numbers to do with padding.
Take the chapter 7.
Because I never get here. Files. Each chapter is a separate file.
Then this page.
Yes. And do it.
Business.
It's a different.
Oh, so you didn't put your text box down to your margin.
Oh,
So
Basically,
No,
that's
this is
all.
more margin.
Let's say it's filled, yeah.
Oh, you tried it?
Let's say you're.
So this I just say this is.
Yeah, you save it as, let's say Alice, Alice. But it's an IND. So it's not gonna be a template. It's just something that you use.
Yeah, but in order for the people to go over again, it has to be.
Yes, so every time.
So we return here.
Okay, that's it for now, folks. This is.
Oh. David, well,
Chapter 1.
why not? The next time you save it, save it as. What I did, just make sure. Close the books, and then I take it up. With the title, with the title.
And you did thanks,
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
and you, and then you save it, it's like, I'm gonna be there.
It's the
We're gonna go chapter.
INDT. Yeah,
So
but
there are three.
but I mean like what? Like questions more about is it listening? When I save it as a
I think it's just
sorry. Like when others save them all as INDT, that is a problem. It's like formatting INDT. So what do we do?
Yeah.
Where we save INDT.
In here?
So it's in line.
You send them an email with it?
Yes.
With the videos or before?
I don't know. It's like the maker of this. When they not, we have
It's only say last Monday or last Sunday?
Right. It's like, so you can have like the colors, but then the measurements are there, and so it's very.
Before even like.
Whenever they are. Okay, so this is the colors.
Yeah.
So when they see that. But then with the check.
So like when they say they're both one INDT.
Yes.
These are two INDT chapters.
The INDT.
So you can see this.
Yeah.
Chapter 2, it says design documents.
That's nice.
Why don't we come back to this?
I love the colors.
Now we're
I don't know when that's nice green. Well, I call that green now.
And I know it's the colors. Yeah.
And then.
So it's official, chapter 1 is problematic.
Yeah.
The document itself, for chapter 1, is a problem. So.
So you guys have to call it today.
You just save it as Word first and then or just look at
The challenges we have right now are
I see it.
every we uploaded
Yeah, but still, because but you know, I was at first I went
3, 4, 5, I mean,
Yeah.
at that point,
It's already done.
I think
Yes,
it's
that's done.
Yeah. So right now it's better, but it's still we don't like like today I wanted to know Meeting, 2 hours, and
Okay, so you wanna have facing?
No, this is
I just kind of went down the list, okay, make sure nobody's, and the things where I'm concerned that people aren't stuck.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just time.
Okay, if it's a time thing, trust me, I'm in the same boat.
No, and I work everything in the Bible, and I'm like, like half my groceries done, and it's next time.
No, it's
As
not.
long as it's like time related and not like you're stuck in something.
No, I'm not at all. I look at more the creativity was flowing in
I hear you.
Yeah.
Those creative juices dry up after a
Yeah.
while.
you're not creative, like sometimes like you're just like, what I'm gonna do with it.
It's basically the default style when you import it. The document itself has inbuilt styles, and it imports the styles also. I could show you a picture if. So let's say I start a new document. First page here. Place document.
I tried chapter 1.
No, it's not working for anybody, so there's something wrong with that file. Click options though, for your place. You can show import options. So let's see the chapter.
Like last week.
Really, when you share this, like the video.
Right?
Yeah, and you
So here you can click remove styles.
create.
Yeah,
Strips away everything from the file.
basically, you should save all your different technological movements, and then you go to file, new book, and then it asks you.
And now if you go
book,
to
and you kind of like import all the chapters, like
So
yeah, it's like yeah, kind of like follow like the chapters, so like
there's a possibility that it won't
import
create
them all.
pages.
Yeah, so the document won't have to be.
So in the
She's
options, we
doing like
turn
200
everything
pages.
off to remove.
There's more like if each chapter is like 10 pages, you can manage like one file at a time.
So it's that's the
Of this, and then just really go
So that way, whenever you start a new document, by double clicking the templates, the styles are already. Question?
So
Oh,
that a little bit goes over.
I think I've heard multiple page. So I'm thinking, because the and the minus sign and the table of contents, let's say chapter 1, column,
because I feel like
the title of the chapter. How can I do that? Or is there a way to automate that, or?
I've never used my life.
Because what's the name of the chapter?
Right.
So, yeah, something that could.
And what's like, I
You
don't
don't
bother with this. I was like, I did everything at work. I created this book.
There's no
I
way to
have
automate
text
that.
like.
Oh,
So you can automate like chapter 1,
Yeah.
right?
You have that.
So the one
So
page
like,
of the chapter,
yes, paragraphs,
but
like no.
the title of the chapter itself can't be automated.
Paragraph is like panel type. I just where style things were I was that I one button and it changed every single
I'm thinking it's like introduction.
Yeah.
Everything
So that's why I was like,
that's what that's.
Yeah.
Is it something that I should?
I'm usually doing the part. That was things before.
So now we're working on the generic chapters,
Yeah.
chapter 1, chapter 2. Those are all the same. We have the same.
That's why I feel like.
But for the table of contents, we'll probably change that.
But I think you like
If you have like some, like you said,
that
like
kind of
the
stuff, you do like that.
forward or something, or dedication page or something. You can have like different sections of your document.
Okay.
All that stuff. Yeah, I think
More like that.
the red.
Creating one for each paragraph with the different then you will use.
Well,
Yeah.
the red, when you see the red on text like this,
Like,
it's an indicator
Yeah.
with like creative.
So
That are the same things with all the pictures
Yeah,
and
exactly.
stuff.
I think
Yeah, that's the one that I'm gonna
the very like kind of RBC must have styling stuff here.
this is probably
Because
the
I guess every
section.
pamphlet has the same like
Yeah,
basic
but she
stuff.
doesn't have an old
The
version.
text is probably always the same.
So that's why you told me like once I'm on mine.
And if I'm guessing, I feel like mine is the best to just override
Yeah.
the style.
Yeah.
You have like the brand guidelines stuff on it.
So where
Yeah, this
is
is
this?
But
Oh, you know what it is? It's because it's behind.
So this one,
There it is.
so this one, I'm trying for the mouse to be white, right?
Right? Remember when I said it has different layers?
So,
Well, there's a
Like a
text
squiggle?
frame in front.
They tell you why to do
and then I click, yeah.
You know your video, and also today you did it. If you didn't,
There you go.
like where the evacuation go, which is black, and the white chapter.
which chapter did you say?
So
You said chapter one as problem.
that's
Yeah, try
another
to.
thing. I couldn't.
I need to
do
work
it.
on
Like,
this.
where
Chapter one is the word.
the white text on top of the
Yeah. Oh, sorry, you thought that too bad. Like no introduction to the story.
I said, like, you know, I'm gonna
Oh,
come.
like OCD.
You wanna see it?
Sure,
I
sure.
can't just like live my life just
And also,
to.
Then Google Alice in Wonderland by
But
Bob
couldn't I just open this on Word and
This
then
is a word
copy paste like I would normally? That's what I'm gonna do.
And then it's just for two.
I got to swatches.
Like, they go while like slowly.
Yeah, now you're doing the outline. You have to click.
Oh, yeah.
Solid. So one with the red line across it,
Just copy paste.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
click there to bring it forward. Now you're doing the fill color.
Okay. So I want to.
Yeah.
I did this. So.
So you have to get
So that.
drag.
I don't know why, but when you say it's like.
Okay, yeah.
This
Then
is really.
I need to get more pages. Just
The
continue.
whole morning was.
If you select all your text,
Again, why is it?
Take that red thing.
because you started typing, but it's black text on a black background.
That means
So
there's
if you
text
change
still
this to
there.
white, all of it.
Oh, it's because you're
Should be able to switch.
Open a thing like this.
Oh, there's spaces.
you click shift.
There's spaces.
No, because you copy paste it. When you do that, you're not doing plates. It's different.
Yes.
Now if you had.
So basically, do it. Click this, and then
So I can
Click
say.
Open here as master.
Oh,
Yeah,
just.
yeah,
switch
click
it
on your
to
page.
one and what I said it then.
Well, what I would normally do, and it gives me a few more options, is first I would make my black square, and then I would make a separate
Click the
square
three.
with text.
And
Because now I can write.
Can I show the text?
Oh, okay, what is that?
The first one, the first page.
You're continuing?
Well, it's just a
What
chapter
else
for
would be?
me.
Yeah.
It
So
could be
do it
some-
again.
Or you want already everything to change, so I remove the photo.
That's what happened.
No,
The
the
separator is basically like,
No, are you duplicating? No, it's because you copied.
and the
text
separator is
into your
optional.
master.
Not every book has a page separator.
Oh.
It's just
So it's like
a way
copying the
of
pages,
having
like
this.
pages of the text already.
chapter one,
Restart
Untitled Chapter, blurb, summary maybe. But then you actually begin chapter
Alright.
one.
Right.
Take me to it.
And chapter three looks like this. There's no separator.
There is no, so it's only before the chapter.
There's a lot here. I mean, you make it up as you go on. You might have two parts in a book, section one, section two. Right? So instead of a chapter separator, you use section
Go into
separator.
text box before I create it.
But basically your
Yeah, because it's
your
all right.
template has the option of inserting pages like this. See part one. That means somewhere down here
But
is
no, I'm
part
not
two,
even clicking it.
right? That is part three. So this is a page separator.
Okay, so I want this to be.
Good. Okay,
Where
so
this
you're already
one?
there.
So,
Okay,
so
that's
that's
two things left.
and for each notice, because it says six and one, and here it says two switches, only because.
I don't know,
the-
you just introduced that to do.
Yeah, and if you go further down,
But here, I didn't do So it means that I have to go to every page together.
The point is that
Yeah.
these are automated, so basically what's missing here on pages 4, 5, and all these other pages is that they need to have your template assigned. Where is it? Did you do these manually, the page numbers?
Did you manage to?
Oh, no, let's go in the master.
Yes.
See, the master is like everything you do on
Just
the
wait.
master. It duplicates on all the other
Just hide it
pages.
like normally do it, like in a little
So
like
if
orange
I
box in here, just
say
like
grab
clicking and it
this,
automatically generates a new page and automatically split off your next one.
so go to my master and assign it here. Now technically here it'll appear on all pages.
Which will it do? Oh, okay, so on the master, okay, I'm gonna write it down. So on the master, you go to.
On the master, that's where you assign all the repeating objects and all the repeating elements.
Does it say on the line is just to one page? Oh, this is the options?
Let's do the options. The options are if you just want to rename it.
So what do I have to do?
You have to remember that, look, there's a line here separating your pages of your document and the masters. The masters are like standard templates, right? So you do a design, and then you can drag it to your page to use that design. And every time you create a new page with that design, if I make a change here, for example, if I change my page number to put it to the top, then all the pages that use the
Will
A
be on
master
the
will be on the top.
everything that you do on the master will stay.
Yes. And you can have many masters, so if another page needs to have something else, so for example, page spread, and now you can say, okay, this is gonna have a red box on that side. I have to notice the box.
And then we'll save as
So I'm gonna do
short
short
chapter 1.
And the other side is gonna have,
Did you change your chapter, your master?
so now if I assign this,
Did you? No, don't do that. Go into when I just go into your first page. In your note, yeah, there. You see that gray arrow at the top?
but I can't interact, I can't change, I can't grab the
Yeah,
red
see that
box.
gray arrow at the top? Left,
Because they're
right
in my
click there.
master. But if I move them in my
So
master,
they will appear in, I just saw.
every page that is using these masters, if I put some pink boxes in my
And then
master,
right click.
and go back to my pages.
And then do numbering and section options. And then in section marker, where the, right, chapter 1, chapter, yeah, chapter 1.
So the master is
Or
like
the
the
one or
parent,
whatever you want to.
and what the parent does, the children who follow it will.
And
So this is not, this is not.
That's the page separator, but this is the master, this is just the random dots.
So,
and then voila, if you put section marker, it appears like that.
Your
Although
masters
the
are-
And then for the chapter title, then you have to put.
So yeah, you assign the master to this page. I need 2 minutes to load up the files that everybody can use. And I'll help everybody individually shortly.
Yeah. But now it's always the whole.
Shut up.
Down the hole. Ew.
Small mistake. Easily. I think that looks beautiful. Okay, and then now I can go and download an image.
Cool.
Yeah, like that doesn't matter, right? So one of us.
Yeah.
If you want, it's fine.
I put it in the Dropbox.
Yeah, it's all easy.
I didn't go into it,
No.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
These did it place. I'll try it.
Maybe a few tips. Yeah.
Just drag it.
Yeah. Just add a black square. Decide what you want.
I just posted a link on Moodle called Files for In-Class Exercises. We kind of skip ahead some of the steps to get us to a more advanced state.
Because right now, like you have an outline that's black and not in your inside nothing. You just do you see the little arrow, the white thing? It's like a
I'm just curious what happens if you click that link. Site.
yeah, but your arrow text. We said text and missing text.
So once you log into that file sharing thing, and this is the Adobe Creative Cloud sharing, by the way, I'm still not 100% convinced it's great because I'll tell you why. If I want to download all these files, I have to download them individually. I can't just click the box here. Yes, yes, yes. And now actually download them. I don't have an option. This is very, very disturbing for me. Because I don't feel like downloading each one of these individually. We'll go step by step when we'll go as needed. A lot of these we already have. Let's start with chapters.
And then missing one with the control.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one you want to download is called Chapter Template Example.indt. So if you click here, the three little dots next to the title, you can download it. So get to this link through your Moodle. Go to the Moodle website.
I don't like them. They're not my style.
I guess you can download. Well, these ones don't even show.
Eventually, our replace has to be already downloaded from last week's files. Right, we'll go as we need. It's the second one.
I think it's in the workshop with our receipts that we had to choose. I think so, but we can ask.
I'll explain. I'll explain now, and you'll see it in action.
Which one do you want us to choose?
It's the second file, the chapter example. that I am teaching. Yeah, for compatibility, yeah, that one. And we will go down what
This one, the number, the,
three little dots.
yeah. And this you want to be.
Well, we're gonna open this file up. See if that works. Oh, of course. If you guys have problems opening up that INDT file, I just uploaded a converted version, which should be compatible with the files we're using. So the question I've been getting is, why are we going to all this trouble to create this template file? What is the purpose of all this? The template file allows us to create all our styles, all our layouts, putting everything in place basically so that the rest of the process of creating these chapters is a no-brainer. Everything is done for us, the thinking is done for us. The most we should have to do when creating new chapters is placing our text and then going in and cleaning it up and assigning these styles to it. We shouldn't have to worry about, is the layout okay, is missing, is we just have to update all the information for each chapter. And we don't want to have to worry about creating styles every time. Now, with this template that we're going to be working with, we skipped a few steps ahead just to show you where we ended up. It's pretty much identical to what we did, right? There's the chapter separator, and then there's our spread. And you know, if we have a very complex document, we might have more masters. If we don't need page separators, we might not need them. This is a thing that changes depending on the design. This isn't like a hard rule. So you go with what the book actually needs. Now, one thing that's different here is I've imported my styles already. So if I go to Window and open up my paragraph styles, Window, Styles, Paragraph Styles, you'll see that it's already loaded with a bunch of presets. Go to window.
It's from your stuff, right? That you sent us.
Refresh this window.
So no one's seeing it, it's just me.
I don't know.
What's that, especially the share?
Yeah, I did have some.
Refresh. Do you see anything called converted?
Check template.
No, we're not seeing it.
Try now. Try refreshing. Oh, I hate freaking Adobe, man.
Yeah, maybe it's just the names that are, because we only have like the abbreviations of what we named them.
Yeah.
So maybe
And you
it's one
can't
of
change your view. Oh, filter by. No.
or modified.
Still doesn't show. Oh, what a nightmare.
Oh. Well, there's one folder that's called Chapters in Design. Is that it?
Hold on. Try refreshing now.
Oh, converted chapter.
Converted. There it is. Okay, good.
Then do I open it?
Yeah.
Open it your template.
That's it. Just want to check in. Where is everybody? Just want to know where you are in terms of where we're supposed to be. Are we downloading files here? Files are being downloaded. Confused. I'm sorry about that. We'll make sure that as soon as possible. Just this one. We'll start with this one. Okay. Good. Thumbs up. How about this side of the room?
No, this one actually.
Good. Not working for you.
Yeah. But it's not there. It's not there.
Sure. Nice.
But you showed me
Times.
something. What did you show me?
I just put it on this and then
So this is what we do.
yeah. It's because it was like the shows like this.
So basically, it's going to be
Yeah.
okay. You're on the. Well, these are styles, which will apply to paragraph objects.
With this and this.
Right. So if you go to your master, how do you want to change the style of that? So there's no stuff. This is like default text right now. So now you can choose if you want these different presets. And I know it's not very helpful, but just go by I guess titles are special, right? Now you can redefine any of these. Styles. You'll probably have to read your styles. Yeah.
All right, so let's go clear up some confusion. Where we lost you?
So now I got managing problem. But if we're living in the basically what I did is I went to paragraph style and then I removed the override, it allowed me to text in here.
Oh, so it was probably adding some styles in there.
So I removed it.
So we,
I know we learned this.
try this. So pages here. Oh, well, you imported your text into the masters. So that we're gonna have to
Me too, honestly.
we want that up all the way. Well, the masters are there to kind of create a. So we want to start with.
So I'm selecting your
Exactly.
but I'm also, I don't know, why did you make this drag?
You want to see the.
Well, we want to start each chapter with a page separator. So this is going to be our page separator.
Which is the chapter page.
It's,
That's always the name of
in
the
the chapter, you can throw a graphic in there, summary, what have you.
But then how come we have to drag it on top of her?
Well, now your content, because it's a different style, right? Page separator has this layout,
Yeah,
but your content, we want it to be different.
yeah, but I have my page chapter slide.
Did you experience a change?
Yeah, no, everything's the same thing.
So our page separator is the first thing you come across. And once we flip the page, it's page one of that chapter.
And the comments.
So this word,
Always do it for me.
this word, text.
But I know that like the recycling and the garbage is not on the same page. So there's like somewhere there's like garbage everywhere. It's written on. Did you get it? It's
Chapter
yeah,
one.
I didn't get anything. I know it changed recently.
It's what they want to recycle the garbage, and then Monday morning it's compost.
Yes.
But
Cursor
when
there.
there's anything out, either my garbage might have,
Then that's
yes,
when
I
I
should
went
throw it out. So I left it in my hall.
No, I don't know.
It's apparently garbage.
We can add a whole
Garbage for them.
I don't know, not things.
There's something wrong with that particular.
Something is. Yeah, but separate.
We're supposed to have for
Chapter two. Okay.
What?
So we got our pages already flowing. And now,
Where
the
is
step would be
where was
to
the word?
the paragraph
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm
here. One.
I have no idea. I'm gonna close it.
Wait,
Just
text.
example. We are supposed to continue. I think Rudy wants us.
How come we, okay, so when we added the text and
The text.
all the
I think
time,
we insist to do.
and why did it already apply?
connecting the sketch.
Well, it doesn't know where you want to apply the styles. Styles are there just as a shortcut, but you still have to go in and select which text. This is gonna be a poem.
Yeah, I saw these posters, but like, what day is it?
I'm gonna demonstrate that right now.
What's the sector? See if it's your sector.
All right, it looks like everybody has the right files loaded. Let's take a quick minute to review what needs to get done here.
I'm right here. Am I green or am I purple?
Well, it's Monday or Tuesday, it's not Wednesday.
Is that traffic?
No.
My new garbage days.
Oh, it's the worst.
No, it's either Tuesday or Thursday.
Oh,
No, Monday or Thursday.
Monday or Thursday.
So maybe tomorrow.
But I'm literally on this line. I'm on second.
what about NDG? Is that did they change days for that?
Yeah. I barely knew that it changes for me.
Okay, well, I'll deal with it later.
No, I think it's green. Not on
Okie dokie. Let's reboot. Just take a deep breath, let it out, focus, we're back. Okay. When we last spoke, about half an hour ago, basically we had our template set up. We had our A master, we had our B master, one for chapter separator, the other for content. I want you guys to understand, more than I care about deadlines and assignments getting handed in, is it will make me happier if you understand why we're doing this and how it works and the whole purpose of this. So the reason why we're creating these templates is because we have a repetitive task ahead of us, right? We have 50, 60, 100 chapters to create. And we don't want to get bogged down doing trivial work every single time. We want to automate the process as much as possible. So we take the time to make sure our template kicks ass. That way, when we open it up, our styles are already defined. Everything is placed where we need it to be. And all we have to do is just change the individual details for each chapter. The chapter title, the text, obviously, the chapter text. And then we would go into that text we've imported, right? The reason why I wanted us to open this file is when I import my text, okay, that's just step one. I still have to go in and format this stuff, right? I still have to go in and decide that, you know what, this little poem here needs to be centered. Well, InDesign is not going to figure that out for me, right? I still have to go in and do some work with the text. But because I have my styles already done, I can basically say, okay, well, what I'm going to do here is go to the special page. No, I know there's a poetry section somewhere. There it is, poetry styles. And I'm going to say, okay, this is poetry body text centered. That's a pre-existing style that I've already tested and it works. So when I click it to assign it to this text, it centers my text. Yes.
If let's say you have the poem or whatever it's selected,
Yeah.
and the first line you decide to put in bold.
Sure.
Would that override your style?
It would. It would cause a style override.
But let's say you just wanted it for this one.
Just this one
Yes,
time.
one
Just
time.
this once.
Yeah. Would you have to create a new style?
I probably wouldn't. But what I might consider doing is in that case consider creating a character style. And all it
Okay.
does is it just makes it bold.
Okay. But
So-
it will override if you have character style over the paragraph style.
They'll work together.
Okay.
Yeah. But in this case, if it's like a one-time thing and you know you won't do it again,
Yeah. Can you override it?
yeah.
How
I
do
mean,
you override this style?
well, you just go into the font section up here and just choose, instead of regular, you choose bold.
But then the next time you choose that paragraph style, wouldn't it have the bold?
This is a one-time only thing, and it's a manual override.
Okay.
So you're not redefining the style.
Also, if you're doing a manual override, it won't change your,
No, the style remains the same.
but it will do a +1 next to your paragraph style.
Exactly. So now if like you said, if I look at this piece of text here, if I look at my style, when I select it, it'll have a plus next to it telling me that there's a style override. Plus, I can also turn this on, and it will highlight the text wherever there's a style override, which is basically all my text. Why is that? Well, I imported my text, but I didn't define what style to use. It just used the normal generic stuff from MS Word, which is probably why Chapter 1 is messing us up, right? So before I do anything else, I'll probably have to like select all and choose here from my list of styles, go to my body text area, and choose how I want to justify my content. So let me move the panel out of the way a bit so you can see what happens. Let me move to the other side. Right? So if I choose body text right, all my paragraphs and everything align towards the right. If I choose left, obviously there. If I choose left with an indent, what it'll do is it'll indent the first line. And justified will basically stretch the text out so it's exactly creating a straight edge on both sides. These are predefined, predetermined styles that I created when I was making my template so that I could have this option of just selecting something and clicking it when I need to. I'm not out of the woods yet. You know, there's obviously extra carriage returns here, right? This is not the height of my paragraph. This is an actual character. And just so you know, if you're not sure, there's a little icon up here. That's not it. Something in view. Extras. Where is it? I'm looking for those hidden characters.
Oh, show hidden characters in type.
It is type, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the bottom.
Thank you. There it is. Right? So if you click show hidden characters, things like line breaks and carriage returns and spaces will now show up. So you can see where that extra stuff is. Okay, now this is super useful if you're seeing some weird formatting, you're not sure why it's there. So you would go in and clean up like all these extra spaces, you know, you delete them, extra paragraph breaks. I mean, there's already a fair amount of work. You don't want to have to worry about styling everything on top of it. Now here's where it gets important. Right, so Chapter 2, Pool of Tears, I have a style set up for this under titles, headings, chapter title. Okay, so when I assign that to this piece of text, it looks like this. Okay, it gets super large and it adds a nice amount of space underneath. This is predefined in the style when I choose chapter title. Now, why is this important? The next step in this process, after we're finished formatting all our content, and I'll show you one more thing before we continue. Let's say this is a heading here. I'm just gonna, let's say this is another heading, a subheading. Called section header, all right? And then maybe on a page further down, there's another section header. Okay, it's not just about assigning these styles now. Now we're creating the automation factor. Okay, now because I'm assigning these styles, when I combine my book together, and it's time for me to create a table of contents, the table of contents tool is going to look at all these styles, and I could tell it wherever you see chapter heading, style, take that text and put it in my table of contents. Wherever you see a section heading, take that and make it a subheading of my chapter. So my table of contents starts getting built based on the styles that I'm assigning here. The table of contents, I can define how those styles are used and formatted so that when the time comes, all my chapters are done, I can just click, assign my formula of what I want to see in my table of contents, and it'll generate all that content. It's a lot easier said than done, and it takes a bit of trial and error, but I'm going to download a few more files from there to see if I could do it very quickly and you could see what's involved. It ties in with the rest of our notes tonight. Right? This assumes that you have your chapters, maybe 3, maybe 4, and you've assigned specific styles to the critical areas of your paragraph text. And you've defined all these things. So basically what's going to happen is at some point, you'll click Table of Contents in your layout. And this is what the Table of Contents dialog box looks like. It's fairly intimidating, and there's a lot of stuff that can be overwhelming. But I'll just give you a little sneak preview. I don't think we'll have time to do it tonight. Right? So what you do, in a nutshell, is you take all the styles that are in your document, you scroll through them, and you say, oh, here's my chapter style, for example. And you click to add, and you transfer it to the column on the left. And with that, I think the next slide should show you what that looks like. Right. So you move your styles from one side to the other. So you take your chapter title, you take your section header, and then you can redefine what those look like based on other styles you've created. So when you plant them on your table of contents page, they look the right way. They don't look just like their original styles, right? It's easier to see it in action than it is to visualize it, but it can get pretty busy here, as you can see. And if I go down one more, you could even define what happens to each one of these. For example, my section header, use this to format it, and what happens with your page number, where does it appear after, and how do I want the number to look all the way on the right using the tab? Should I use different things, right? And basically what that ends up doing, at least to video, but basically it, it's in my files, let me think. Chapters, book examples. No. Let's see if this works. Yeah, that's not going to work. No, the files aren't there either. Guys, I'm really sorry, but the compatibility is going to be a problem tonight. Let's see if I can do this real quick. So before continuing, I want to make sure that everybody is somewhat okay with what needs to get done for next week, which is using the template, create 3 to 4 chapters for this book, and assign styles to all the appropriate parts of your document. 2 specifically, the chapter title and the section heading. Most important is the chapter title. So at the start of every chapter, select that first piece of text that says chapter in the title and assign a style to it. So that next week, we come in and create the book. Those styles are defined, and we can use the table of contents tool to create our table of contents. Yes.
Can you show again how you copy the text? Where you
Yes, for sure. So I'm going to clear everything, and I'm going to start from scratch. Let's say you go home. I'll show you the files you need to get started and to wrap things up. Yes?
Is it okay if we open the text and Word file and then copy paste?
Will it create the new pages?
Yes.
Then yes, that works too. Yes. Okay.
I don't know, for some reason, every rectangle is downloaded from everything.
Yeah.
The only thing that came up was chapter 1, or just like the same. Do you know?
Well, those files you can get from last week's link. You already have those, like all the documents.
I had the. But that's another one.
We'll get it.
And how do I create this?
Go to your master, open pages, double click. No.
Oh.
Here.
Yeah, that was
This is now your pages. Everything you do in the master is the child pages follow.
Yeah, it's
So you guys go home, and weekend rolls around, have some fun, party a little bit. Monday rolls around, you're like, oh, I should probably do my InDesign assignment. And then Tuesday rolls around, you're like, yeah, I probably should do my InDesign assignment. And then it's Tuesday night, and you're watching TV, and you're like, okay, I'll do it while texting, whatever. It's how I make all these assignments. Why do you think they're all falling apart? So basically, it's panic time now. It's Tuesday afternoon. It's panic time. Maybe it's Wednesday afternoon. And you're like, okay, I need to get this done. What do I need to do to finish this and move on with my life? So here's what you'll need. You're going to need the INDT template that you downloaded just now. The converted one probably will work. Even if you have a newer version at home, it should work. So you'll start with that. And if you click, it'll open up a new InDesign file. Wrong file I opened, of course. Test template. Basically, it's in my downloads. There it is, right? So here's the, that's not it either. What the? Perfect. So make sure it's the INDT, the template file. At home, it should work without having to convert. And I'll upload this to the Moodle site so everybody can download it from there. I'll call it use this, just so that there's no confusion. So if I go to my desktop now, I should see it there. Use this, right? I didn't hear it, sorry. That means your text font is not matching up. You're missing the font that's assigned to the style. You have to redefine the style and assign a font that's on your system. So Wednesday night is turning to Wednesday afternoon is turning Wednesday night. Let's get this template here. Good. So I go to my desktop. I double click the template file, step 1. It opens a blank InDesign file, just a regular file, not a template. However, it has all the styles built in. And if I look at my pages, the master for the chapter separator and my layout is already done. So the heavy lifting is done, and that's what we want. However, there's still some work to do, because if I go to my page, my content page, I now have to import some text. Place chapter 2, because chapter 1's a nightmare. And apparently you can open the file and just copy and paste. That'll work too.
Chapter 1 works in that too.
Yeah. So what you want to do is place your content in there and have InDesign generate all the pages you need.
So you need to hold shift. You need to hold shift.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes InDesign is really weird. I hold shift. I try to get that curvy arrow in my little cursor because it's telling me that it will automatically create the frames and the threading and everything.
Every time you double click on the master, does that mean you're opening a new page? Like you just.
If I go back now and double click the template you mean, right? The INDT file. This. The INDT file. If I double click it, it's going to create a new empty document for me with everything all set up. And then you can override and clean things up.
Yes, sir. Seems all the work.
Thank you, Vasily. Have a happy birthday.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, because he had said.
I can't. Where's the file? Where's the InDesign file?
Okay, let me put it right now, live with witnesses on the site.
So for the homework, you don't want any text, just the chapters.
4 chapters. Or 3 chapters, if you run out of time.
And I can be like creative, like to do, because for the chapter 1, I can show you to set. It was,
That's an issue with your master.
I wanted it to be, oh, so it's not a canvas like this, you want it to be different?
Can you read that?
No, because there's another thing I wanted to show you. How can I make the background very
Light.
light?
You have the selection and change the opacity. The opacity is.
Chapter title is important.
Not the center.
The image.
Outside. Not the center there. Different slide.
Yeah.
And then you can change the opacity. 100%. You can make that.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, that's better. Much better.
So,
Oh, that's what he was saying. But it's not included in the. No,
So step 1, we opened a new InDesign file from the template. Step 2, want to import some text. So we place or copy paste, whatever makes you happy, as long as you get the text in there somehow. So choose your chapter, go to your primary text frame over here, and shift click, and boom, you should get your pages set up. Step 3, if you do nothing else here, absolutely nothing at all, select all your text, click anywhere in your text, press Control A, and now go here to your body text and choose at least one of these styles. Go with body text left. It assigns this new style. If you don't feel like cleaning up the content, fine, don't bother. However, one thing you want to do is the chapter title. You need to assign at least the style called chapter title, so that it looks like this.
So the table of contents, is it going to be an additional master in the template?
It's going to be a standalone document.
Oh, it's going to be a template on its own.
Exactly. It doesn't even have to be a template because it's a one-off. It's just going to be a regular InDesign document, and it's going to borrow styles from existing InDesign documents because it's all going to be part of the same book.
Right.
And then we're just going to literally, what we're doing now with the text, click and have it populate. We're going to click in our InDesign document, and it's going to generate our table of contents automatically based on the styles that we assign.
So it's going to be in the chapter 1 file?
No, we'll have a separate document called table of contents, and it'll precede that. We can use like different, we can use like Roman numerals for the page numbering and format that one. We'll do that next week. Save your work, step 4. So save 3 chapters, and if you're really, really lazy, okay, and I'm not even saying lazy in a bad sense, but let's say you're crunched for time, do one of these files, format it nicely, and then just change the name of the chapter, because honestly, we're not going to read this. It's just placeholder text. Change the name of the chapter and save as chapter 2, save as chapter 3, save as chapter 4, right? As long as you have those 4 InDesign files for next week, you're in business. We'll be able to create our book very easily. Thank you. Have a great night. And if you really want to make sure you don't have problems, save them as IDMLs. But I'll send an email to remind everybody.
Just please go over what example you need to have.
Yeah.
It's like,
Exactly. Like no confusion.
And you don't want us to create our own, you want us to use the template that you've already set.
It's a base. If you want to do a design, if you want to redefine like the base font.
Right, because like I've already created another,
That's
my
fine.
own. So I just would create styles from scratch. Okay, cool. I'm ready.
Awesome. So let's make a clear email here.
Unless you put text.
So will this likely be the last or final assignment?
I was kind of hoping not, but I'm surprised we stalled so badly on this part of the course. But now I feel if we abandon it halfway, it's kind of a waste.
Yeah.
So we're going to follow through. We're going to finish this. But that's why if we're prepared for next week to finish the book and the table of contents, it shouldn't take us more than the first half of the class. Because the next half of the class, there's a whole bunch of other topics I wanted to share with you. Just general stuff that's good to know that we didn't really have time to really get into.
Is there a last class next week?
Yeah.
How crazy is that? By the way, Sunday, I'll probably be here in the lab for anybody who needs extra work, extra help, time to catch up, whatever. I'll probably be booked from 10 to 12, but from 12 to 2, 12 to 3, I'll be here to help anybody who needs it. But I'll send an email for that too. So, subject, assignment. So for next Wednesday at the start of class, and I'm not using capitals to be condescending. Please don't think of it that way. We will need 4 chapters based on the template for the book. Your own styling or the existing styling. Each chapter needs to have content assigned a body text style. List. And the chapter heading needs to have a chapter heading style assigned. Save these files as chapter X IML. Okay, I think that pretty much covers it. I'm going to come around and help each of you individually, whoever needs help, just whatever's not clear. I'll be right there. But I just want to make sure everybody feels okay with this, and if not, just respond to the email and I'll provide more details. So let me send that to the right people. Web Design 2, right? No, InDesign 2. Jesus. So sadly, next week is our last class together. I was hoping we would have one more opportunity for a small assignment like packaging or a folder of some sort. But we'll see how that goes next week. I don't want to overload you guys or stress you out more than you should. But we can definitely talk about what's involved there. So thanks for being so patient tonight with all the technical glitches. And I'm here Sunday. Right there. Visit our friends on the west side here. Yes. Yes. Diagram. I'll do that right now. You have 2 minutes. Yeah. You need to leave. Okay. 1 second. And what we could do is take a picture of it. All right.
So, I want, yeah,
This is the line there,
his email and see if I'm just
right? So this is the template that creates chapters.
So for each chapter,
Well, it all is based on the same file.
why don't you just make a page from the first one? Why is it better to have each chapter on a different file?
Because these are all going to chapter 3, chapter 4. These are all going to be plugged in to our book file.
Is the best way to do it?
So our book file is going to gather all of these chapters. Have a great week. And here, we can add some special book features. For example, we can have the page numbering go from, let's say, 1 to 10, and then from 11 to 32, 3 to 48. So we don't have to worry about how all these chapters, what numbers start from, what, you know.
Yeah, all the metadata of that.
Yeah. So we have an opportunity to have like a lot of things automated. Another thing that the book is helpful for is styles. So if we suddenly throw in our table of contents, for example, which is just not based on the template, it's just a standard InDesign file, and we slide it in here at the top because
It wasn't expected, or it's like a
well, you can't really do it until the end because you need to know how many chapters you have, how many pages, all that stuff, right? You don't know the page numbers until you're finished.
Yeah.
So it's usually the last thing. And then basically what you do here is say, okay, well, this, just borrow the styles from one of these existing documents, right? And even the other chapters, you can say, oh, I created my new InDesign file had a chapter that had a lot of information that I didn't expect. And it created a whole bunch of new styles to account for it, right? So let's say chapter 3, I got to chapter 3, oh, shit. There's a lot of stuff that is not in my templates. I had to create a whole bunch of new styles. So what do? I basically say this now becomes the master style parent. Okay. So when you make this one the master style parent, all the other books, chapters, benefit borrowed styles.
Okay, it's like another line of defense. Well, another line of
It's exactly that. It's another way of safety to avoid having to go back and edit stuff individually and So it's that once you're in the book place, then you can basically assign all the special book features and your table of contents is the last thing you'll do. For that, you'll basically create a blank document and you'll push, the magic TOC button dialog with all your settings, and it will basically spit out, so page 1, page 6, page 9, 22, all this is automated based on how your book is designed. And if later on there are changes, revisions, the editor looks at it, no, it doesn't change that, you just basically click again and you replace the new text and these updates, 19. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it easier. Like,
It's a bit more, you know what, I'll do a nice diagram so that it, oh, this is a mess. I'll make a nice diagram to share with everybody so they can understand
the big
the
picture.
path, basically,
And if you go back a little bit, like the master pages versus paragraph style versus
Right.
it's still relevant, but now with more rates for talking more about like the book. So it's a little bit different, but how does it work? Like in the same InDesign document, you can have different master pages.
Yeah, let's say we're doing more of a magazine instead of just a regular book.
Okay.
So the magazine might have different layouts, right? So we might have one layout that has text and one image at the top. Might have another layout that has 2 images, just pictures. So for this, we can create masters, and as we are building our document, we can, drag and drop from one to the other based on what we need. And when we have like a lot of content, for example, we can have it threaded from one to the other, so that it creates like a automatic sequence how the text flows from one to the other. And that can be your master. So depending on how complex your overall magazine is, right? And when you're working on each chapter, it might be an opportunity for new ones, but at least you start with the base template and have caption stuff. Okay. What?
Chapter 1, is something wrong with it?
Yes, everybody's been having problems with chapter 1. It works if you just open the file and copy and paste the text. But what a nightmare. It's driving people nuts. Sure.
I'm not sure how, or like, what?
No, so it's like you,
First of all, I would have to know how to raise all my.
like I said, this isn't like
The beat.
but it's also fast. Can you show your work saved and you also use it?
Do you want just a PDF or
PDF is fine. And I'll set up a Dropbox file here. So I can show you.
So you want to do yes. Yes. Like,
I have a question.
yes.
I'm sorry.
Sometimes before I make a project,
I have 4 errors that I don't have.
So I have to
The font, I changed the font.
about the images. Oh, wow, it's so nice. This is the one that you, it's your choice, another one.
Yeah.
Yes. So you had to what?
There's two frames, one on top of the other. There might be something in your masters.
Because my master, I added text frame, but when I place it, it does it automatically, right?
That's what it is, and that's why we hold down the shift key so that there's an existing infrastructure.
Okay. So
Is it okay if we try this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll delete everything. Like, we're gonna replace it.
What did you do? What did you do? This is the,
Yeah.
the
Yeah, so because I applied master
Oh,
and stage
right.
and it changed from the
okay.
automatically I
Oh,
see this, but I just want to know so
about the numbering?
yeah.
Okay, so there were like, probably
Let's say
multiple
you want
attempts.
to
I wonder,
Probably,
can I do
yeah.
it?
Okay, so you got like the real frame now.
Okay.
And then I see two.
See chapter one,
Yeah.
all chapter one.
Now, let's say I want to put
So
another
if we
section.
ever do chapter one,
Skip
So
two times chapter two. And this is where you press shift.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I think that you remember.
So
at the
first order of
beginning,
business.
he said author's name, one side author's name, other side is the chapter. So,
but I just want to know that let's say I want to
yes.
and I want to add something else, but I
Everything is reformatted.
number
And next step,
it's the title.
title.
They don't have subtitle chapter or like,
Not really, not in this one.
we have section header.
it's two. But let's say I want to.
There's a lot of stuff in here that's just
So
in
when
case.
Yeah.
if I update this one.
Chapter title.
Oh,
There.
if it's on, it
And
said
really
it's on the
Yeah.
master page, yes.
It-
It automatically, whatever
Colon,
happens on the master
style,
page
whatever.
goes automatically to the master pages. So you can make a.
Oh, yeah, no.
You-
Got it.
So if I,
So like
It
here
has to be
I added
consistent
one section.
throughout the whole page.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I went to my
Okay,
organizer
yeah.
and I added another section here.
And these are
okay,
extra-
this is the
Yeah.
master.
Yeah.
Well, this is the
Yeah.
problem
Yeah.
is
That's a master.
it's,
Okay.
if you go
So I
to
added
type,
another
Okay,
section.
so go
show
down.
characters,
If you wanna see the
it'll
next page.
show you
Yeah,
where all
but
the
when,
paragraph marks are, so you can track
how
them down.
to-
So you just exactly. But yeah, it's a bit boring. More
If
than
you
I
go-
expected.
That's what I understood.
Yeah, because.
So I have to do it
let's see, all of the
throughout the whole
reference pages.
It's hard to automate this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
go here, I just wanna have, instead of writing two, I just want to choose the number two.
I think that's, yeah.
But you see, it's still intense.
It doesn't stay on two.
Yeah.
Oh, it won't stay on two. I think it will keep on going 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, but the new
So it should, yeah, it should say
so how
two.
should
Yeah, that's true.
finally?
You go up, scroll up a little bit, so let me see. No, okay. Chapter 4, okay, go down.
The hardest part is,
Do we have
I
it?
think
Maybe one or?
it has to ask you, but yeah, I think it has to go automatically. That's the aim,
Yeah.
because you know when you are in it. You need to go to one.
No, because you can't, you have lots of.
Exactly. This was my guess.
Continue.
But I wanna hear what it tells me. I wanna know.
well, here, we'll create a new page.
So it'll go. Okay, it's just for, yeah.
Might have been when we were playing around with paragraph spacing, push some text down when we created that chapter at the top.
Yeah.
Pushed all the text
Probably
down.
because like, I think first you put some chapter 3 or 4 in the middle,
really add another chapter, chapter 2. So maybe it's because of page number. That one it was 8, and this one is 9. So
Not only that, but when we added the style over here to chapter 2, pushes, look how much it added space. So there was probably one page at the end that was really tight, and when we expanded it, it pushed it down.
Okay.
So yeah, it's good. It looks pretty good.
Same question. Yeah, I have 2 questions, but not related yet. Here, just gonna add I'll just need to add the paragraphs. This is I think last session. I forgot how to do how to do the text. Like, let's say if I have the text, I don't know how. Like, you know how it's like gets the shape inside. So I would do.
This mouse. Well, you don't have enough text to actually have it wrap.
Yeah.
So it's breaking in all the right places, but
So let's say I have more text. Yeah.
it does it automatically.
No, it's not.
You know, it does it
No,
automatically.
it should. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you make this, for example, circular shape. Let's say we add some text here.
It should be this one.
It should be. So if I see it automatically.
It has to. Okay. So that.
And again, if you want to go one step further, you can basically change the text frame options. Add a spacing to push the text.
Experimentation. You right click.
Yeah, right-clicking with text frame option, you can do auto size. So if you have a lot of text, see it's overflow text. Click on auto size, you can say height. So it expands to make sure your text fits in there.
Okay. Another error that I'm seeing. I don't know why it's
It's not an error. What that is an indicator. Styles. What that is you have the style override highlighter on.
Okay.
So you assign styles to this and then change them. So if I turn this off, go away. This just shows you that these started off as basic paragraph, but then you went in and created manual changes.
Yeah. So
if you click here, it'll tell you, well, if you're looking for basic paragraph, this one's okay, but these have changed. And if I do something here, for example, bold. It's fine. Just change different fonts. As soon as I do that, I get a highlight telling me, oh, this is no longer a basic paragraph. So to get rid of the blue, you just turn this off.
Okay. Because I did design initially, I don't know. Style.
Paragraph size.
Is there not paragraph I don't know from the beginning or something? It's just
Well, let's say we want to add this paragraph text here.
Yeah.
Just need some generic text. Right, so let's say we want to turn this into a heading.
Yeah.
It's 2 lines over here. Okay. So here I'm going to create a new style. Okay. Now I can define what this style is going to look like. Turn on my preview so I can see it. I can say, okay, it's heading 1. And you can do different things like add some space after. So at the end of the heading, push down, that's follows it. So you can define all these rules like this.
Yeah.
And most important is hyphenation. You want to turn it off. So you don't want words wrapping.
Oh yeah.
Right, so turn that off. In this case, it doesn't matter. And you set up all your rules over here. And once you're happy, right, so you have your heading once further down. Further down, you say, okay, well, this is the start of a new heading. Let's click it. So all the values of the previous one. Okay. The beauty thing is, if you say, oh shit, this isn't good anymore. If you have something selected,
So like this, good.
it's going to apply it. So basically, make sure you. So if you want to double click, modify something and change the color of the paint, for example, updates all the styles. Okay.
I don't need another question.
Sure.
All my questions. This is a work poster. It's nothing to here. But I wanted to know because here's the issue of Photoshop. Like I don't the picture is still there. I see the line. I don't have background to add to the picture. I don't want to make it look super huge to cover the whole.
So you want to match the color of the InDesign.
Exactly, which I did, but I have the line, which I want to kind of like fade. I don't know how to do it because I know my graphics does it, but they don't want to like put it.
So basically what you have to do, right, so here's the line.
Yeah, because I thought that quick design was tricky at the box, so I wanted to play with the design, but like usually sometimes.
The way that I would approach this is that I would grab a.
You need a mouse, right?
No. Just pencil paper. So what it is, I'll do. So right now, I have an image like this, and you have another piece on top like a patch. And what you probably want to do is either extend this patch over
Okay.
and assign the gradient from here, let's say from there.
Yeah.
For now, I don't think so.
And fade it out to its capacity 0.
Because I still need to study.
Okay, so this would be solid color, and as you get close to the overlap,
Maybe after
it starts fading out. It goes like that.
Picture.
So that way the line is covered, and this kind of blends in.
Exactly. That's what we always do.
That's
So different
wow.
bits.
And Illustrator?
Certain
Serious? And you plan on working on the graphic design?
document to try different things.
Because if you do, you have to.
We have to know, like, you have to at least base.
I want to learn Photoshop. Maybe from the tutorials on the internet.
Do you have any images of this? Box. Basically, yeah, you want to have it go like this. And
It's a long time.
Yeah.
That's
Because I don't want to ask.
yeah, no, it's fine, but I just want to see how it creates gradient swatch.
You don't want to wait.
Then I'll
From, let's see.
What?
Do you have access to Photoshop?
Yeah.
It would be 10 times easier if instead of trying to do this in design, you open the image in Photoshop.
Yeah.
And you assign
Drop shadow?
no, Not a drop shadow. Yeah, Photoshop on this thing, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I'll show you on screen. Very fast. Come. So, thank you, and we'll be in touch.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So I'll just open just any image here in Photoshop.
So every time I do a poster or anything, pictures are like doesn't fit, and I want that specific thing. Like, I always have this issue. Sometimes I can get rid of it with the design, but like I want to know like how to do it, or like I know Photoshop, like I can extend the background, which I have to like improve my skills in Photoshop. I did online course and it was like.
Well, this isn't even that hard. So basically what you want to do is make sure your layer is removed from the background.
Yeah.
And if you click this icon here,
you do a mask.
It creates a mask.
Yeah.
Very good. So now with a mask, what you can do is with your gradient tool, from black to white, it'll create a transparency for the image itself. Oops, wrong way. So if you go from here to there, it'll go from solid to gradient, transparent.
Okay.
So that way, if you create another square behind it,
any color,
and I put it behind, you'll see that it fades out gradually.
How do you like apply the gradient on?
We'll do an instant replay.
Okay.
Okay.
Because these are
Let me just
trends.
put my glasses on.
These stuff are trends. Like usually with poster design.
I've been using once I figured out how to do the whole layer masking, I was like, oh my god, this makes life so easy.
Yeah.
And basically what you're doing is you're creating an area of your image that is transparent. And the way you define that is by using black and white. So when you use white, it's solid. Your image is solid. When you use black, it's completely see-through. But if you use gradient, like between black and white, then you get different levels of transparency. For example, if I choose a brush with black and I paint over in the layer mask area, I'll get full transparency.
Yeah.
But if I change it to white again, then that transparency is removed and my image comes back.
So do you have to do like another layer first in order to?
No, it's all basically, well, it's a layer mask.
How do
So basically the way it works is it creates an extended layer on top of it, which defines which parts of it are transparent.
So where do you go to in order to have that?
White is sealed, right?
Yeah. So I can just delete the layer mask now and my image goes back to normal. So what I would do is mask like a certain area here, for example. Say, okay, I don't want it to go beyond this area.
Yeah.
Choose my, oops. No, see, that's, first I create my mask. Now I would just basically protect the area I want to work in. And then I would choose a gradient. And it's always grayscale, black or white. And I'll say, okay, from here, white, I want it to fade out to black. Black being full transparency. Right, so here these are shades of gray. Because if I were to create this gradient standalone, it would look like this, right?
Yeah.
So here it's full solid image, and then it starts getting fadey until it gets here, which is fully transparent. That's what's happening here. So if you do that if you isolate that flat color, and you just fade it out, and you put the solid block behind it in InDesign, it'll be a lot smoother transition. You won't see that hard edge.
So let's say I have to do that in Photoshop.
Yeah.
I have to do it on the picture.
Yes.
The top of it.
Yeah.
I have to do an applying gradient.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
if I want to do it like in InDesign without the gradient, you would recommend.
InDesign, you know what? I don't.
Let's say if I put drop shadow behind the text, no?
it's not going to work. You could do the same effect here with the shape, except that I'm not 100% sure. I haven't done this in like a long time.
Yeah, the grading.
So solid color is fine, but gradient feather tool. Maybe this would work.
From here to there. Here we go.
Right. Perfect. So you just assign that approach to your color and just make sure that the parts where it fades out blend in perfectly with the backdrop of your.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have to apply that on the background color or on the picture?
On the.
Because if I do background color, then here is white, so I see the line again.
Right. So in your layers, you would have this on top and your picture under.
Under.
So that this fades out and then your picture fades.
It's under. Okay.
The solid cut is under the solid color here, but it fades over to make it look
Okay.
But let's say you want to apply a gradient around. But let's say like the corner of the picture is fading to white, just to give like a vintage look.
That's more masking.
Yeah, that's gonna require a bit of Photoshop work.
Yeah.
Bit of Photoshop work.
Yeah, that's more masking with a soft
Design.
brush.
Oh yeah, so I have to Illustrator maybe.
Even there, Illustrator, it's good for hard edges and
Yeah.
for stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work.
I feel like with InDesign, like you need to know Photoshop.
Yeah. Especially when you're working for ads like that and posters.
In my job, like books and stuff, like you don't
Not
need
so
to. It's
much.
like typography, you don't need it.
Yeah.
But like me, I always work with pictures and stuff. We're always like working on pictures and like I need
You always
Photoshop
need
no
to tweak
matter
a
what.
few things,
Exactly.
change a few things.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that was helpful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was.
But yeah, I'm happy to see that tool.
Exactly what I needed. Thank you.
Perfect.
How do you override a section? Let's say I'm just putting 2 here, and I wanted to add it's chapter 2. So like I'm thinking the non-chapter number, and then I'm writing it down. But and then I did the same. I just okay, box and added section. But then when you scroll down, it says yeah. So
Okay, let's see what this is. Something set up in your book content here. Is this this character over here? Is it a page number?
no. Chapter number, it's not a page.
Well, how does it know what chapter it is? Because this looks like it's an automatic. Like, did you go to special character
Yeah,
markers? And what did you put there? Which one? Section marker. Now it's a section marker. I think before it was a page marker, and that's why it kept going up and up and up. So now if you put a section marker, go to your pages over here, section marker should, in theory, see 2.
2. But let's say if I wanted to put the actual number 2, will it update it on the cover?
Everywhere, no, yeah, that's it. Here it's gonna put
change it.
number 2. So usually you have to decide, okay, what would create more work for me? Changing it once on the cover or changing it on every page manually. Right? So here, this is an easy fix. You just click once, type in your name, and done. And here, in chapter 2, you would have it automatically. So that's what I would do. So here,
And how do you go to numbering section? Because I tried to go through the menu and just it works.
see now it says 2 here. This is easy to just kind of click and just replace it with 2. Here. This is
The rest.
see, this is manually updated. That's why it lost its connection with the master. But let's see. Assign it as page 1. Resets it once you reapply it. What was your question?
But yeah, the numbering section.
Oh.
How do you Did you click here?
I click
But
here
I
the blue
think
arrow,
we
but
can
you can
go
also, yes,
here.
here. and
Why,
you
why
can-
is it gray?
You have to choose one of the pages. So it's one of my masters is selected, at which point the numbering doesn't apply to that masters. It only applies once you're in. So, All right.
Thank you.
All right, good work.